Hello, everybody. How's it going? It's me, Krendor, and welcome back to Krendor Talks in front of a shitty green screen. Today, we're talking about Warhammer Old World some more because I'm getting way more into Warhammer Old World than I thought I ever would. It almost reminds me of Classic WoW, how I was like, I'll probably play a little bit of Classic WoW, see how it goes, and then it actually came out, and I was like, I'm hooked, I'm loving this, and I'm kind of doing the same thing with Warhammer Old World. I've spent the last couple mornings just reading through the rule book, and let me tell you, there's a lot of rules. My biggest issue so far with reading the rules isn't that I can't like understand them or figuring it out, because a lot of the rules actually feel like they're just common sense type of rules. They're like, this unit can't do this thing because it wouldn't make sense. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's like, okay. But the main thing is that the indexing is just terrible. It's like, so this thing is under this special rule, and I'm like, okay, and then I go look up the special rule, and it's like, this special rule is described in this part, and I'm like, okay, and then I gotta go look up that special rule, and then if you're in the actual Ravening Hordes thing or whatever, it's like you have a different set of indexing and different set. There's just like so much like, okay, this is here, and this is here, and this is here, and this is here. Okay, we got it. We figured it out. You know what I mean? So that's the most annoying part. But outside of that, I think it's actually pretty great. I might just like go through for a lot of my units and just instead of having the keywords there, just like write out what they actually do. You know what I mean? Instead of being like, this unit has stubborn or this unit has terror or fear or whatever. I'm just gonna be like, does this thing, right? Almost like a little cheat sheet. And then I think after a while, I'll just pick it up anyway and be like, oh yeah, that's what that is, right? I think that's the way I need to like learn it, because I'm also somebody that learns by playing the game. So as much as I'm reading through everything and being like, this is cool, whatever, I need to just like actually play it to figure it out for the most part, especially like the complex like combat rules with like post-combat scoring and the break tests and all those things. They seem kind of annoying to learn, but they also seem like once you understand it, once you've played through it a few times, it's like, okay, yeah, I get this, right? So I think what I'm really excited about is it feels, like I was saying earlier, it feels much more like a war game, like an actual war, like a realistic war. And I think that's pretty cool, because I mean, Sigmar is essentially just 40k, but fantasy. And I get why they did that. Obviously, it's faster paced, it's lighter on the rules. And now even 40k's taken some of Sigmar, so they're kind of going back and forth. But this is clearly for a certain audience, right? This is for the people that love a ton of rules, a ton of customization, and realistic war strategy tabletop things, which is me. Like, I know a lot of my friends would hate this. People like Jesse, or even like, I don't know, Sam would probably get into it if he did, but just so many people would just be like, this is too much. But for me, I'm lucky I have a good friend group that also loves it. I have some friends that are going Bretonians. I have one that wants to play Wood Elves. So we're gonna, we'll have some fantasy battles essentially. But it's just a lot of fun, even just customizing and building armies. And so at first, seeing the rule book, you're like, oh man, this is like so many rules. But I think as you read through and you process everything, you realize why there's so many rules, because it's such an intricate game with so many different options, right? So one person might run one army and someone might have the exact same army, but it's different because of the magical items and the talismans and the way you've equipped your units with standard bearers and musicians and all these different things. And I think that's so cool, because let's say you're somebody that doesn't really march, right? I know marching and musicians, I'm not like 100% on, but I know they impact marching and stuff like that. Maybe I'm like, you know what? I never really march. I don't really have that in my play style, while somebody else is like, no, I love marching around and doing all this stuff, right? They're going to take a musician. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to take one. And you can tailor that to your style of play, which I think is great. I love that. And so I think those are the types of things that I've really enjoyed. The army building, I guess it would be, with Warhammer Fantasy Battles, or Old World, I guess. And I'm glad they're actually focusing on Beastmen. I've been ever since I even got into Age of Sigmar, I've just loved Beastmen, Beast of Chaos, and it just feels like Age of Sigmar has always gotten them wrong in a way. Like right now they're kind of just a glass cannon, which is kind of true, but not like fully. And then you look at Warhammer Old World, it's like it just feels like they are the most beastmen like in Old World, like having frenzy, having mutations, like these chaos mutations, and it just feels like it just feels good. Like I don't know, that it feels like they did a really good job with beastmen. It feels like they did a good job with a lot of things. So I'm excited to get a few games under my belt, you know, get some experience, but I've genuinely enjoyed learning the rules and going through everything, but I always do that. I love when something new comes out and, you know, whether it's a Battletome, a codex for an army I like, a new version of the game. I love just like reading through and being like, oh man, how am I going to play this? What am I going to do? Right. And so part of it's that, but part of it is because there's so many options and so much diversity and so many intricate little things that you can pick apart that I think it's great. I'm probably going to get destroyed, honestly. I'm going to like make some dumb charges. I'm going to set up bad formations. And you know what? I'm all here for it. So it really does remind me of classic WoW and retail WoW, right? Like they feel like two different games, but they are still the same game. And I get that same type of vibe. Like when I play classic WoW, it's much more slower pace. It's about taking your time. It's more like a role-playing game. And then I play retail, and it's much more like I mount farm, I collect things, I hack and slash. I'm like, woo, right? Much more forgiving. And so it almost feels like the same type of thing. Like if I play Age of Sigmar, you know, it's a little more fast-paced. The rules are a little more streamlined. You know, the army building's a little more streamlined. And I don't dislike that. I play it for different reasons. And this feels like a type of thing where if I really want to sit down and play against somebody with like some, you know, we both think about our list a lot, and we're really thinking about movement and strategy and all these different things, then I'm going to want to play that. It just feels like it depends on the type of mood you're in. And I love having that option. I think that's what I also love about it too, is I love the option. And now it also gives a lot of my models new life, because all my old Lizardmen models that got retired with the new Seraphon line, right? You know, the new Slan, new Lord Croak, the new Saurus warriors, all those guys, they just go into a box. And now I can actually put square bases on them. And I'm like, look, I got a Lizardmen army. It does suck that they only get a PDF file, but from what I saw, it seems pretty good. You know, you get all the rules. They actually got some magical items and stuff like that, some spell lore. I didn't think they'd get that much, so that's pretty cool. And then I'm sure if Old World is actually doing pretty well, I think they would branch out and start bringing in more races. I think they just want to see how it does before they kind of commit to everything. But I'm just genuinely excited. I didn't think I'd be this excited, and I am. And so I've enjoyed reading a 250-page rule book is the point I'm trying to make here. So let me know down in the comments section what you've thought of Warhammer Old World so far. If you've gotten to play any games, I've been watching battle reports. So battle reports have been really nice to help me learn and kind of put everything that I'm reading into a visual sense, right? Because I'm like, oh yeah, I read about that and all these things. So let me know what you're building. I've built so many skeletons. I don't want to build any more skeletons. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much for listening to me rant about my excitement, and I'll see you next time. Okay? Okay. See ya.